Detroit Lions conclude their preseason with a loss to the Indianapolis Colts, but it wasn't all bad. Let's talk about it.
Did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes?
Hello, everyone. My name is Derek, and welcome back to the Gridiron Blitz. Here we talk all things Detroit Lions. We also do 3 NFL live streams a week, so make sure you subscribe, ring that notification bell, and set it to your preference. So select personalize if you just want the content that you would like. The Detroit Lions, after leading most of the game Friday night, lose their last preseason game against the Indianapolis Colts and have now dropped 7 in a row dating back to the actual season. Their last win coming, Matt Patricia's the first game without Matt Patricia, the Chicago Bears, I think it was early December. So we haven't won all year. But when it comes to wins and losses, it doesn't really matter. What we got to see today is who's going to make the team and who's not going to make the team. There is no more time for any players to try to make an impression for Dan Campbell and his coaching staff, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. But let's go over some stats right here. The Detroit Lions led most of this game and really kind of turned the tide with the interception later by David Blau that we'll talk about when we get there. First downs, Detroit had 15 to the Colts 16. Passing first downs, 11 for Detroit, 8 for the Colts. Rushing first downs, 4 for the Detroit Lions. That was a problem today. Seems like it wasn't any other game, but it was today. 7 for the Colts. First down from penalties, 1 for the Colts and 0 for the Detroit Lions. Third down efficiency, the Detroit Lions went 50% for 8 of 16, while the Colts went 7 for 15. Fourth down, Detroit Lions went for it earlier in the game, got it, and they didn't get it with the last play of their possession as they fell short. 4th and 12, he got about 11, so they went 1 for 2. Total plays, 60 for the Colts, 63 for the Lions. Total yards, this is a problem. 263 for the Detroit Lions, 351 for the Colts. Total drive was both equal at 10 yards per play. The Colts had 5.8. The Lions had 4.2. Passing yards, 186 for the Colts and 151 for the Detroit Lions. Completions, 19 for 21 for the Colts. The Lions, 20 for 30. Yards per play, 6.2. So the Colts pretty much dominated the entire game in every possession, even though they were losing. 4.6 for the Detroit Lions. Interception throws, 1 on both teams. Sacks, Detroit Lions should have had way more than 1. Should have probably had about 4 or 5, but they, on the stat sheet, have 1. Detroit Lions, 3 for 19. Rushing, 112 for the Detroit Lions. 165 for the Indianapolis Colts. Rushing attempts, 30 for 30. Yards per rush, 3.5, 3.7 for the Lions. Red zone, the Lions went 66%, 2 of 3. The Colts went 25, 1 of 4. Penalties, 8 for the Colts for 50 yards, and the Lions 6 for 45. Turnovers, this is where the game changed. Interceptions thrown, 1. We had 1 interception and 1 fumble. We had 2 total turnovers to the Colts, 1, and time of possession was 29-25 for the Lions and 30-35 for the Colts. That David Blau's interception really, really changed the game, and that was that. Now, let's talk about some hits and misses for today. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say that the fantasy player, the guy that we were rooting for, the Cinderella story of this team, Craig Reynolds, will probably not make the roster, especially after the performance that Jamar Jefferson had. The brother came out with a chip on his shoulder, said, I want this job, and he 100% earned it. Hurdling a guy, he came out, quick feet, fast, a bunch of cuts. Jamar Jefferson will be the third back for the Detroit Lions, while Craig Reynolds, I mean, everybody's entitled to a bad game, but unfortunately, when you're trying to get a roster spot, you cannot afford one. Craig Reynolds will either be cut or will be on the practice squad. Hope to have him. As far as wide receivers, I am going to make a statement here that might shock you guys. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Brashard Perriman might get cut for Geronimo Allison. If you looked at it, Geronimo balled way more. Perriman had a couple of drops, and he was already on the bubble anyway. I could see. I can't believe, because you guys know how I feel about Geronimo, but with what we have to work with, he could make the cut and wind up on this team. Sage Surratt will be on the practice squad. He has not shown up at all this preseason. Had a drop that he could have been really close to a first down, and the ball was in his hands, and he let it go. Derrick Barnes, again, stood out, was phenomenal. Also, Anthony Pittman will have a really, really good chance to make this team. You know who will not make this team? As a linebacker anyway, Jahlani Tavai. Jahlani Tavai is in danger of not making the team. I could see potentially Jahlani Tavai ending up on special teams, but as far as linebackers, I predict that Jahlani Tavai will be cut. The other guy, Tom Kennedy, I don't even remember seeing him in the game today. That could be a good thing because Dan Campbell said that 80% of the roster was a lock. It was the other 20% that they had to really battle for. So us not really seeing a lot of Tom Kennedy could already say that he's on the roster and has secured a roster spot. So I'm going to say that Tom Kennedy will be on this team. Kevin Strong was another standout today. Julian O did pretty well. There was a time that he missed a sack. He could have had it. That was a lot. It was a lot of missed sack opportunities today. A lot of guys was just too excited to see that pass to the quarterback, and they missed out. Mike Ford stepped up early in the game and was pretty good. Corn Elder. I really didn't have Corn making this team, but Corn showed up today, got the lone turnover for the Detroit Lions, and I'm wondering, is he going to make this team? Nickel Robbie Coleman, not so much. Not sure he makes the team either. So it was a lot of good and a lot of bad. David Blau, if I haven't mentioned this before, David Blau will be the number 2 quarterback. He has shown his worth ever since we traded for him in 2019 from the Cleveland Browns. So David Blau will be the number 2 quarterback. Tim Boyle was looking pretty good, got injured on the throw. Dan Campbell has already said that he loves he would love to keep 3 quarterbacks, so I think that he stays. As cuts start to come out, we'll go over who's still on the team and who's not. I expect them to start tomorrow morning. By the time we get Saturday morning rolling well, I think we'll hear about our first initial cuts. Lions have to get down to a 53-man roster by Tuesday, and then they will also be able to do the practice squad after that. So I'm going to say that Sage goes to the practice squad. I really, really hope that Craig goes there as well, because if DeAndre Swift can't perform or somebody gets hurt, we can pull him up. He had a really bad game. It looked like he was just trying too hard. Maybe he knew what was on his plate, and unfortunately, I think his Cinderella story ends there. But hopefully he will have a place on this team, and he will be here to stay. Austin Bryant looked very good as well. Very, very good. You could tell that he was out there. No Deshaun Hand, at least I didn't see him. And apparently none of the starters played. So I like what I saw. Biggest disappointment today was probably Craig Reynolds, because the fan base was so in love with him, so rooting for him. And I would say that the biggest standout probably would have to be, for me, Austin Bryant. I mean, Austin Bryant was everywhere. Derrick Barnes was still doing his thing. So anyway, that is my take on today's game and just some initial thoughts of who might not make the team and who may. We'll go over it as well as the cuts start coming out. We'll go cut by cut and see who's left to make the team. But I think Jahlani Tavai, the only shot he has is to be on special teams. He might be like the linebacker version of Miles Killebrew. But anyway, my name is Derek. This is the Gridiron Blitz. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. Now, the wins matter.